You are a kid who is in high school and you are not doing very well with the waifus, or well you think so, because in reality what you lack is malice, since by paying enough attention, you will realize that you can get the opportunity of your life with more than one girl. And yes, surely it is happening to us too, and we don't realize it. That's why this summary is for you. And if you want to know the name of the anime, during the video it will appear below, so leave in the comments the minute it appears, and I'll send you a kiss. The anime begins with Junichi, our main character, returning to high school after a vacation period. In it, he sees how everyone around him is already squaring minds, except him, and well, his little group of nerdy friends. Everyone in the group is annoyed by the fact that they can't get a girlfriend, and especially the main character, because he already wants to stop being naive. That's when a waifu about 10 years old enters the room, with some tremendous melons. What do I say, melons? Watermelons. With the watermelons of an old woman of 40, the truth is that the body of the girl is well exaggerated, people, while she turns out to be a neighbor of the kid, with whom he has known since childhood, and she has brought him his lunch. And well, people, as I can tell, the waifu is only 1 year younger than the protagonist, only well, it didn't grow anymore. The waifu is called Nene, and she flirts with the protagonist a bit, but he tells her that he is not interested in her body, since she looks like a girl. After this, the mine leaves and her piggy friends immediately arrive to question him, asking him if perhaps it was her boyfriend, or what a fart. But after they find out that she's just a friend, they ask the kid to introduce them to them, imagining perversities about it, and they literally don't care that the waifu looks like a girl. Even they like it to be like that. Anyway, that's when another waifu arrives. The truth is quite beautiful, named Yui, who also flirts with the kid, saying that the previous year he hadn't talked much, but this year he would like to do it more. Talking means, don't get pigs. The thing is that the protagonist does find out about the waifu's flirtation. So yes, we confirm this kid is a Virgo because he wants to. In 5 minutes of anime he's already been flirted with by 2 girls, and he's not even pending. Well, then his friends, after seeing the protagonist again with a waifu, they tell him to take advantage, because Yui is intelligent and very pretty, but without melons, so it would be fine for him. Basically, they tell him that it is achievable for his nerd level. Having said this, they all start looking at filthy magazines in the middle of class, and yes, in the full class, while the other waifus watch them, and even so they wonder why idiots don't get girlfriends. After this very embarrassing public behavior, the protagonist thinks that if he keeps hanging out with them he will die like a Virgo. However, this does not seem to matter much to him, because one of the magazines receives him after seeing the succulence of the cover. In that he hears that a girl calls him, and from fright he drops the magazine. It falls to the floor and the waifu steps on it, telling him to stop being dirty and better go see those magazines at home. The unfortunate protagonist, who was just grabbing the magazine, apologizes on his knees with a tremendous face of shame, and the waifu, who turns out to be a gal. For the uneducated, the gals are the girls who care a lot, too much, enough, about their beauty, while the gal, she leaves indignant after seeing the kid. Sometime later the nerds already investigated the life of the waifu, because they already know that her name is Yukana Yame, and they also show the protagonist a little book where supposedly the behavior of the gals is explained. And to say of that book of dubious origin, gals like Yuma are quite hot, so the main character imagines doing little things with the waifu. And if I leave it to your imagination, and well, while the kid was fantasizing, the nerds already decided that he would be the one to ask her out. Junichi appears sad and indecisive, but the blue-haired nerd named Shinpei convinces him by telling him that gals are easy, and all he has to do is get down on his knees and ask for it, after which they grab him so he doesn't regret it, and they send a letter to the waifu to meet him at the end of classes. That's when the classes finish. Yukana reads the letter and out of curiosity goes to the appointment. The kid can't believe that the waifu is gone and is dazed thinking about what the hell to do. However, in that he remembers that the blue-haired nerd told him that he could do it with her if she would kneel down and beg. So he does, to which the waifu responds with a what a loser. But well, with Junichi on the ground, the waifu remembers him as the pig in the magazine and begins to mess with him, finally asking him to stop pathetic, and gets up. However, the kid likes what he sees from there, so he doesn't get up and tells him that once he dedicated Tio something he did not give up. After seeing that the protagonist had some character, the waifu is less aggressive and asks him what he likes about her, and the truth is that he just wanted to make delicious with her. Yes, the protagonist is quite a pig, but no, he can say it just like that, because they would send him to the dick, so he replies that his bad character is what he likes the most. However, the waifu doesn't believe him a damn and tells him that she knows that what she wants is to stop being a Virgolini. Here the kid wonders if the waifu can read minds, or what the hell. So nothing with the face he put on finished revealing. Also, Yukana has realized that the main character doesn't get up. It's because he's looking at her panties. However, this doesn't seem to bother her very much, because she bends down and invites him to go somewhere alone, giving clear signs of flirting. Wait, then if the nerd was right about the gals, which almost ends up being confirmed when the waifu pokes her melons out, encouraging him to see more. Yes, when he already has it very hot, she makes fun of him because after his reaction, he has managed to confirm that he is a first-class pig. Why? Well, after seeing that the mind turned him on for nothing, the protagonist is a little sad, but right away the waifu asks him if it was true that he likes her. Here the kid senses that it is another joke to humiliate him, so he doesn't respond and decides to leave, so as not to make a fool of himself anymore. But Yukana stops him by the arm and corners him against the wall. Having placed the melons 1 centimeter from her face, she confesses that she likes him. But not only that, but he likes him a lot, so after all they could date. Wait, how? And yes people, the mine after all did accept the protagonist's exit, all thanks to the piggy blue-haired nerd. I want friends like that, the f***ing motherfucker. Although looking at it his real intention was to screw the main character. But hey, I'm sure that if the nerd had known that kneeling would say yes, he would have done it 1,000 times until he ran out knees. Episode 2. And well, people, now we see the thoughts of the protagonist and how he walks without believing what happened to him. But even so he imagines a very dirty scene that we cover because they already know how the guy gets ant. Anyway, the next one day we see the blue-haired boy arrive at the main character to ask him how Yukana rejected him. The kid tells him that it went very badly to humor him. Given this, the nerds tell him not to worry, because in the end it always turns out that way when it comes to women, and that no matter how many times they reject him, he can always count on them. Well, at least the kids are loyal to their peers club, but that loyalty is about to fade, since the protagonist receives a selfie from the waifu out of nowhere, and he is immediately expelled from his group. Although, well, that expulsion did not last long, because now Shinpei, who thinks he is the most popular of all and is as naive as the rest, could that this man gives the kid another piece of advice, telling him to take the waifu to karaoke. Well, that's where the popular guys often get a place to get intimate, explaining to him the way in which he must act to achieve the objective, giving him a series of conditions that must be met to do it with the waifu. Well, the foray becomes quite intense and even begins to bleed, ending with a fake death. But I'm sorry people, but I have to laugh. Later, we see the protagonist arrive at the living room and find Yui, who offers herself as a psychologist so that she can tell him about her problems, since she has noticed him out of place the last time. But when these two are about to talk, the one with the melons arrives, grabs his arm and tells the whole class that she and Junichi are dating, which, yes, surprises everyone. With this public statement by Yukana, the kid once again earned the scorn of the nerds, who leave without looking at him after the class is over. The protagonist tries to recover the relationship with them, but they already have a lot of anger with him, so they leave him only. Later the waifu grabs the protagonist and takes him out of the high school. On the way the kid wants to know where they are taking him, but Yukana replies that they will go to a place where they can shout loudly and feel good. Wait, how? This is how they go to karaoke. Don't worry, I also thought they were going to a hotel. While there they enter the karaoke room where they see a notice that this space is for singing and not for making delicious food. In the end, if the Four Eyes was right, despite being naive he knows all the tricks. This is where the waifu gets a little closer to him, and the kid already begins to fantasize. However, the waifu did go to sing, and not to do dirty things like Junichi's pig is imagining, so he has no other option than to sing with the girl. After having a wee scene yandel, Yukana takes off his coat and the protagonist interprets it as wanting him to kiss her, so he approaches to do it, and it is precisely there when the waifu interrupts him, telling him that he has a hair on his nose. Nua, how are you going to tell him that? But hey people, the positive thing is that the girl did that because she was nervous, because she considers that it was too soon to kiss the protagonist. The downside is that he didn't say anything to the kid, and he is sad because of his hair. However, when saying goodbye, the waifu tells him that he had a lot of fun and that he would like to go back to karaoke with him. With this our protagonist recovers his soul, and in the darkness, they are observed by one of Yukana's popular friends. The next day we see that the protagonist has been left a letter in the locker. When he opens it he realizes that a man's voice reads it saying that they are waiting for him behind the school. The message is real, but the voice is that of Shinpei, who along with the other two have read the letter at the same time as the kid and cry with envy. However, the kid tells them that the letter is not signed, so it may be a joke. They encourage him to go and find out who it is, because then they think that if Junichi becomes popular, they and their friends will also have a chance to get women. This is how the kid arrives at the meeting. There we find out that the one in the letter is the waifu that was spying on him and Yunaka. The tan gal approaches him, and just by smelling him he realizes that he is a Virgo. My god, but what skill these gals have. Who knows how delicious they will have made that just by smelling they realize. But hey, the point is that the girl named Ranko sent for him to meet him. The detail is that he appears a bit strange, because he begins to provoke him as if he wanted to possess him. Then Yukana arrives and pretends to be disappointed in the kid, where where for a moment the waifu leaves somewhat angry. But the truth is that these two know each other and know that everything is playing. After leaving Junichi as hot as the sun, Yukana takes him away and Ranko is shown looking a little pissed off. Despite this, the next day the kid's girlfriend sends him a message asking them to go out with Ranko. This is how the three of them spend a day together, where we see that they go bowling, then they go to eat, and finally they try on some clothes, which Yujum are not provocative at all. And while thinking about it, Junichi's boyfriend is really here. It seems to be Ranko more than the kid, but let's pretend dementia regarding the relationship between these two girls. Let's say they are very close friends. This is how at the end of the date of 3, they are on their way home, and there they are stopped by a couple of quite violent kids who want to take Yukana by force. Then the protagonist gathers his courage and tells them to stop, but they pay no attention, and when the protagonist wants to avoid them at all costs, they push him to the ground. However, to avoid conflict, Ranko offers to go with them instead of Yukana, and everyone is happy. Or well, not all of them, because the kid's bottom hurts. The thing is that after a few minutes Ranko appears, and it turns out that the too conflictive Ranko has been beaten in an alley, returning back with Yukana and Junichi. Sometime later, the kid goes home while lamenting for not having been strong enough to defeat his attackers recently, saying that he has to become stronger. In that, Ranko walks out on his path and confesses that she likes him. Wait, how? Then she grabs him by the hand and takes him inside his house. There they begin to turn him on as usual, in which Ranko begins to lift the goose with some pheromones and sentence that make anyone foolish. However, the kid reacts in time and gets rid of it, saying well to the hairy-chested macho that the person she wants to lose her virginity to is Yukana and not her. And well, you better not tell him that, Prota, because when Ranko hears it, he gets up violently and knocks him down, yelling at him that he won't let him sleep with Yukana because she belongs to him, and that's why he'll hit him so hard that he won't have any left desire to do it with any other woman. Why would damn miss? Well, the waifu is there, and when her clothes begin to break, Yukana enters, who claims to have heard everything they said. However, the waifu was lying because in reality she did not hear anything, and she eats the story that Ranko was doing what she saw to test if the kid was faithful to him. But the reality is that Ranko is attracted to Yukana. There the waifu thanks her for doing these things for them, because she thinks that she does it because both the protagonist and her matter to her, thus telling her that she loves her very much. There the brunette remembers her childhood, and since she always got along with her, so that's when she becomes sad and starts crying. But well, the next day the protagonist is on his way to class when he meets Ranko, who angrily makes it clear to him through the language of madrazos that he should not say anything to Yukana. All this while the waifu at the beginning of the anime looks at them with a lot of anger. And yes, something tells me that the protagonist is slowly forming his harem of gods. Chapter 4. Well, after this, we see the waifu Yui, who has always been very popular, but not only this, but she saw everyone as simple objects, seeing their faces with a piece of paper on top. But in that he listens to the prow who wanted to give him something that he had dropped, or when we hand it over we see him disguised as a dog, giving us to understand that it was the waifu's dog. Anyway, there in a change of scene, we find the protagonist watching different gals and streaming. He did this to learn from their behavior and improve as a boyfriend. However, there he meets a waifu who is especially attracted. But well, this is how we move on to the next day, where the protagonist, when he gets to class, realizes that his friends are also crazy about this waifu on the internet. But there's the one with the glasses. He notices something, and it's that he feels like he's seen that girl before. However, no matter how hard he tries, he can't remember who he was. Sometime later, our protagonist meets Yukana to eat, in which he begins to imagine a romantic exchange of snacks. But when he comes to, he realizes that this would not happen because Ranko was next to Yukana, and if indeed Ranko did not lose his footing to the waifu. Also, Yui arrives at the table looking for the main character, and she wanted to ask him to speak alone. However, when she saw that Ranko began to yell at her, she decided it was better to go and talk to the kid at another time. This is how later we see the protagonist saying goodbye to his girlfriend, and behind him is Yui, who tells him that she was looking for him before to help him carry some things. For this reason, later we see them in a cafeteria. Wait a minute, aren't they going to shit things? That Yui doesn't lose one. She already managed to take the kid for herself. Well, while there they talk a little about the kid's relationship with Yukana, where the kid tells her that for him it's all very strange, because he never thought of being a boyfriend with his waifu. But well, in the end nothing strange happens, or maybe yes, because that's when the waifu approaches the protagonist and begins to flirt with him, telling him that they were alone now, and that they could do whatever they want. Perona people, all this was imagining the pig of the protagonist. In the end nothing happened. We see the strange thing the next day when the kid arrives at the living room, because as Yui realizes that Yukana is seeing him, she throws herself on the arm of the protagonist, thanking him for the coffee yesterday, as if to make the the waifu jealous. Meanwhile, we have Four Eyes watching the video of a gal streamer, in that she senses that her voice sounds familiar, so she decides to record her classmates. After collecting all the information, he concludes that the famous girl is Yui herself. When he says this, Ranko listens to him and finds out everything. Later, Yui takes the kid to the roof and confesses what we all knew except him, that she is in love with him. She also asks him to finish with Yukana and to get together with her. Given this, the kid thinks about it, but he decides that he won't do it because he really likes Yukana. After the answer, Yui throws a tantrum at him and shows him her true personality, telling him that he belonged to her and that he should do what she said, blackmailing him like this by showing his girlfriend a video that he recorded while they went to the cafeteria. Now our protagonist is in a dilemma, but calm down people. To save him we have the three virgins with Ranko. Or well, I don't know if to save him, but there they arrived. In that, Ranko approaches Yui and whispers in her ear that she knows she is Boa, the famous streamer. Yui is surprised that she found out and asks her to keep the secret, but in return Ranko asks him to leave the kid alone. Well, in the end, they did save him. That's how Yui leaves, where he tells the protagonist to forget what happened and not say anything, and the kid doesn't understand anything about what's happening. But hey, the thing is, Ranko clarifies that she saved him because she doesn't want to see Yukana sad. And in that, the waifu appears to go home with the protagonist together. Then the waifu asks him why he is so close to Yui, but the protagonist tells him that it is not strange, which the waifu tells him to stay calm, and that she knows that he was very much in love with her, so she was not jealous at all. Chapter 5. That same day at night, the kid dreams of touching Yukana's melons, and when he wakes up, if he is touching some melons, but it's the baby's, who is dressed up as a girl, and with this he seeks to conquer our protagonist. However, after recognizing her, the kid calms down, because he doesn't like her enough to make him nervous. This is how they go to class together, and on the way he is seen by his nerdy friends, who as usual start to annoy him with envy. But the moment they see that the mini waifu is purposefully approaching the protagonist, they go excited, who knows what bathroom. Arriving at school, our protagonist meets Yui again, who laments for having forced him to go out with her the day before, and the kid apologizes, as he is a good guy. In that, she approaches to thank him, but realizes that it smells like another waifu, and yes, that other waifu arrives, and now the dispute over the kid is armed. This is how, after provoking each other, Yui has to go to class, but before he leaves a little gift on the kid's foot for a dog, although well, she is the one who is excited alone. Later we see the kid with a dying appearance, because since morning the mines have not stopped attacking him, and that's when the one that was missing arrives. But this one does raise our protagonist's spirits, and actually with that body to anyone, and invites him to eat. The detail is that the other jealous woman also goes to the meal, who doesn't let the protagonist flirt with his girlfriend. Then as if that were not enough, the baby arrives and runs his tongue down his cheek. Yes, people, he did it for no reason. Maybe it seems that this is how the baby greets. The kid is scared, because he thinks his girlfriend and Ranko are going to grab him with madrazos for shamelessness. But the truth is that no. Well, actually Ranko did not lack the desire to fall for the kid, but Yukana recognizes the mini waifu, because she saw her before at school and thinks she is the protagonist's younger sister. However, Nene tells her that they are not brothers and challenges her to a small melon duel. There was no reason for this, but hey, let's enjoy the melons together. Ranko joins the duel, and after a while Nene walks away and complains to Yukana. Well, she believes that the waifu is with Junichi while something better is achieved. However, Yukana replies that it is not like that, and tells him what she likes about the kid. Here the boy despairs and leaves. Later that same night the kid is lying in his bed, and that's when the boy emerges from under the covers totally ballyballed. But of course people, we are forced to censor that because otherwise YouTube knocks us down the whole video. The truth is that Nene makes the kid touch a watermelon and asks him to make the delicious one. People, the truth is that you have to have a lot of strength to reject such an invitation, especially if you are naive. You have a hard time and there is a naked mine on you. But our protagonist is in love with Yukana, so do not give in to his low instincts and tuck the baby in. For the waifus who are watching this video, they have to know that all men are that faithful. Here he tells him that he doesn't want to take advantage of her love for him just to lose his virginity, and also that he doesn't want to hurt Yukana. All men always. And of course, baby, I'm a little sad because they rejected her outright. Piro understands the motivations of the kid and respects them. For this reason he dresses and says goodbye in peace. However, that does not mean that he has given up, because the next day while the protagonist and Yukana are greeting each other, she arrives to tell the boy that he he will become a better girl than his girlfriend in order to possess him. I want them to fight like this, for my god I exist. Chapter 6. Later, his nerdy friends convince him that it's time to do it with Yukana, suggesting that he has to be invited to his house for it. This is how the kid, after meeting with her later, asks him to go home depraved, not the little one. The waifu blushes after the offer and is thinking that they will do the same thing you were thinking there. Therefore, after thinking about it a bit, he accepts. However, there is always a shit in life, and this is the same protagonist, because he tells him that he will invite Ranko and Nene too. Here the waifu stops being enthusiastic. The kid asks her about her change in attitude, but she replies that she has nothing. But kid, don't you realize that the mine wanted to do it and you invited more people? And as if that were not enough, when leaving she meets Yui, who tells her that she has nothing to do, and the protagonist ends up inviting her to Yukana's house as well. However, all the guests have not yet arrived and Yukana leaves with the protagonist first. Being alone in the house, the waifu confesses that her parents are not there. But what a chance you have, kid. And here the protagonist, when seeing the disposition of this girlfriend, wants to start the action by taking her melon. But that's when the guests arrive. There you go. For the son of a puberty, now you're still naive. Yukana doesn't understand how they could get in if the door was closed. But of course Ranko, who knows all the tricks, found the spare key hidden where they always leave it. Now our main character has been joined by cattle, and of course, it's not going to happen very well, because Nene caresses him and Yui kicks him, Yukana comforts him and Ranko insults him. Anyway, after this their nerdy friends arrive, who think they are Hollywood stars because of their clothes, and they don't want to miss the opportunity to spend some time with the waifus. Sitting at the table, the nerds propose a game. However, the intelligent one of the group realizes that they do it for filthy purposes. Before this, Nene agrees to play, because it would be the perfect opportunity to try it with the main character, and Ranko thinks the same, who wants to do it with Yukana. So things begin to play something called the Game of the King, which consists of gathering some sticks, and whoever draws the one that says king will have the opportunity to make the rest do what they order. In the first round it is up to the green-haired pig to be the king, who orders that participant number 2 slap 5. And of course, 2 was Ranko and 5 Junichi, who has been hit hard. The second turn is Yukana, who orders Yui to talk like a baby. In the next round the king is Yui, and orders Nene to strike a sexy gal pose, who unbuttons her neckline a bit and reveals her watermelons. After some other challenges they take a short break, and their Shinpei tells Junichi that he is cheating with chopsticks, so the next time he will make him and Yukana kiss. At the start of the round, Shinpei is indeed the king, so he orders 1 to kiss the king, and 2 to kiss 3. The waifus are a little uneasy that they are now playing with kisses, but the blue-haired man says that the king's orders are absolute and they must do it, so he asks the number 1, 2, and 3 to raise their hand. The small detail is that the protagonist had changed the order of the chopsticks, and those who had the number 1, 2, and 3 were the kids, so they will have to kiss each other. After this unfortunate event for the kids, Yukana encourages the protagonist a bit by thanking him for saving them from the pigs, and since the meeting was pleasant after all, she invites them all to spend the next summer vacation together. This is where it occurs to them to go to the beach, but they are more broke than Don Ramon. For this reason they decide that since summer is still a long way off, they will look for a job to make money and go on vacation. Chapter 7. The first to get are Shinpei and the vomit hair. However, it was a lot for them, who are only used to reading non-poor magazines, because when they leave the workday they feel as if they have been beaten up. For their part, the waifus got a job at a cosplay restaurant, to which the kid was also hired. Before her arrival, the waifus tell her that this job is for women. However, the kid clarifies that he is not going to dress up, because he will take care of the kitchen alone. So yes, I was already imagining the protagonist in a dress. In this way the days go by and everyone continues working to raise the necessary money. Yes, if there is someone who has not wasted time, it is our pig 4 eyes, because in just a few days he became the manager of the store. We can say anything about the blue-haired, but that he has a spirit, he has a spirit. And well, the calendar continued its march, and now we are only 5 days away from the trip. But this day is special because the filthy manager of the restaurant where the waifus and the kid work has decreed that it will be a reading day for customers. But beware people, that it is not just any reading, because he has left them novels, not by enough explicit ones for them to read. Yui, noticing the content of the novels, says that she refuses to read that in public and leaves. Instead, both Nene and Ranko start reading in order to excite the protagonist and Yukana respectively. And well, they succeed, because they make Yukana blush and can't take it anymore, taking action herself by reading one of the magazines. The kid is now quite uncomfortable and yells for them to stop with the excitement, at which point the boss enters and asks if they have already chosen the novels they will read. Given this, the kid complains and tells his boss that these soap operas are very perverted for high school girls. The manager really doesn't give a damn about the age of the girls, since his purpose is precisely to make them blush when when reading, as this would bring pleasure to the clients. At that, Yui enters with a phone in hand and passes it to the manager, saying that the owner wants to talk to him. This is how they give the manager a lift for being dirty and order him to cancel the promiscuous reading. And yes, it was Yui who ratted him out to the owner, and now they have been saved from public embarrassment. On the way home, Yukana, who is warmed by reading, tells our protagonist that regardless of whether the trip to the beach is with all her friends, she hopes they can spend some time alone. Junichi already told you in front. If you don't get the hint, it's because you're missing WebOS. Chapter 8. And well, the remaining 5 days have passed, and now the boys and girls are going to the beach. This is how they set up their tents. The pigs do perversities and the protagonist goes to the sea with Yukana, and of course Ranko. Later he gets together with the other girls and they start playing volleyball, and here Ranko doesn't miss the chance to dunk the kid in the face. So to prevent the protagonist's face from being disfigured again, they start to create better little castles. Sometime later Junichi is responsible for putting sunscreen on Yukana, and of course Ranko, where we are shown that the kid has good skill with his fingers, as he makes the waifus aroused just by touching their backs. This is how sunset falls and the nerds talk alone with our protagonist, because they want to tell him about the night's plan, which consists of spying on the girls while they bathe. This is how when the time comes they dress up and get ready for it, because the waifus are bathing naked all together. But of course people, we cover many of these scenes, because Ranko took to caressing Yukana's melons and even those of baby. Meanwhile, the nerds are crossing the forest to get to where the waifus are, but in that the protagonist purposely activates a trap to make them give up the plan. However, the nerds this time got ahead of Junichi's cellar, while that trap that he activated was set by themselves with the intention of seeing if the protagonist would sabotage them again, and when they realized that he did it on purpose, they began to chase and to shoot him. These nerds take everything seriously. The chase ends when the protagonist falls from the mountain. Before this, the nerds do not worry about his life, but consider the traitor eliminated, so they run to get to the bathroom as soon as possible. The problem is that because they are so horny, they don't realize the real traps and they fall into them. When they recover, they continue, but later on the Four Eyes is hit by some fictitious arrows and falls. We already know that this kid is taken for granted. Fake his death, so after a dying speech he encourages his partner to continue without him. He does so, but the second step he takes, he activates other traps and the fireworks start. Although the good news about this incident fortunately did not get any worse, because later all the kids are rescued and Junichi can finally spend a moment alone with his waifu, and there they decide that they will go to an amusement park to share a moment alone. Chapter 9. But hey people, it seems that the kid can never be alone with his girlfriend, because on the way to the park, they meet a guy who was Yukana's former schoolmate, and in addition to flirting with her, he invites her to meet with other of his friends, ex-mates. But the worst of all is not that a handsome guy, your girlfriend's ex-partner, flirts with her in front of you and invites her to go with her. The worst thing is that your girlfriend accepts that invitation, but have a little respect for Junichi. But don't worry people, all is not lost, because when Dai, the popular guy who flirts with Yukana, notices the presence of the protagonist, he asks the waifu who he is. Unfortunately, she does not deny it, because she introduces him as her boyfriend. That's right, Junichi, Shohu's boss. After this meeting, the waifu says goodbye, however before they agreed that their meeting would be tomorrow. Continuing on her way to the park, the waifu notices her boyfriend a little sad, because he is thinking that Dai and she had something. Also, let's be honest people, the guy is more handsome than our protagonist, and the kid knows this, so he told him, he says to the waifu, further confessing that he thought she was ashamed of him. Upon hearing this, the waifu was disappointed that the kid believes that she would dare to deny it, so she decides a little sad not to go to any park and goes home. The next day in the classroom, the kid is sad because of yesterday, although wait a minute, weren't they supposed to be on vacation? The author of the play owes us an explanation here, but well, let's pretend not to have paid attention once this has been done. Let's go see the protagonist, who lies depressed in his seat, and just then his teacher in skirts arrives, who offers to help him. After finding out about the whole situation, Shinpei tells him that there is nothing to do, because it is most likely that they are cheating on him. Was that the help that this kid offered to give? He better keep quiet. After a while Yukana arrives, but she doesn't even look at the kid, and that's how indifferent the rest of the class is. At the end, Junichi can finally talk to her and asks her to go home together, but she rejects him, since she has the meeting with Dai and the other former classmates. The kid tries to apologize, but the waifu doesn't give him a chance. Although not everything is bad, because his friends rescue him from rejection and take him to sing, the kid doesn't even feel like walking, and now they want him to sing. Obviously the kid doesn't accept the microphone. Before this, Shinpei gives him a speech to cheer him up, and concludes by telling him that tomorrow he should apologize to his girlfriend. He should go beg her like when she asked him to go out with her like a big boss. And well, the protagonist seems to like the strategy, because he can see his spirits recover. This This is when they offer him the microphone again, and this time he does receive it. This is how they launch their little concert, and when leaving the karaoke we see a more lively Junichi, but the mood will not last long, because as soon as he leaves he sees Yukana already die surrounded by a loving aura. For this reason, back home, he begins to think that Yukana never loved him, and it was true that she was only with him while he got something better. Yukana arrives quite happily and asks the boy if he has already reflected on his bad behavior, but the truth is that the kid doesn't even know what he did wrong, and here among us people, what the kid said was not a big deal. The waifu suddenly got weird, and because she wanted to, so she also waifu apologizes for being so cold to him a while ago at school. However, from here our protagonist no longer wants to be seen as a fool, and he sings them to the waifu. He tells her that he saw her with Dai and that he felt very comfortable with her, that he thinks she has been using him, and he concludes by telling him that if things are going to be like this, it's best that they stop, in that the protagonist sees the waifu's reaction, and since he doesn't know what to do, he runs away. This is how in class they seem estranged again, and Yui finds out about the situation, who tells the boy that he is wrong, because it is not true that Yukana is with him out of pity or to hurt him. Nene shares the same opinion, because although both are in love with the kid, on that trip they became friends with her and they know her. Later, Yukana and her friends meet to talk about the main character, but before she can say a word, the waifu starts crying. Ranko doesn't like this at all and goes out with the intention of hitting the kid, who also met with his combo, and that's when Ranko arrives, grabs him by the shirt, confesses that Yukana is affected by what happened, and when he is about to beat him up, the protagonist apologizes and says that he will make amends. However, before he goes to do it, Dai enters with his friends saying that Yukana is quite easy, since he barely called her and left with him. He also admits out loud that he likes to steal other people's girlfriends, and that after she will share it with the rest, because after all she is a bitch. Hey, this guy is going too far. He's an anime character, and I already hate him. After hearing all those insults about Yukana, Ranko wants to go hit him, but the kid avoids him and goes to face him. Chapter 10. Now yes people, a world conflict is coming. The kid arrives at the table where Dai's long tongue is. When he sees him, he identifies him as Yukana's stupid boyfriend. I don't let myself say that. At least I'll break his face. However, the kid puts up with that insult, but the guy keeps messing with Yukana, so our protagonist can't stand it more and pulls it up the shirt. This did not like Dai, who asks him to go outside to fix things. And yes, everything is very nice kid, but you have a squad of about 15 friends and the protagonist is alone. However, this does not intimidate our kid, as he takes action throwing a right hand. The small problem is that he misses it, and for this he receives a kick in the stomach. The kid is now on the floor, but there is no problem, because from there the dog's technique is launched and goes for Dai's leg, managing to catch and bite him. Seeing that he has teeth stuck in his leg, Dai orders his friends to attack the kid, which is why they start kicking him. However, Junichi keeps clinging to his rival's leg. When he lets go, it is because Dai admits that he will get away from Yukana, but it was all a vile lie. All he wanted was to be released, and as soon as he was free he kicked him in the face. The innocent boy, while finishing him off on the ground, said that he would not keep his promise to leave Yukana alone, at the same time that he continued insulting the waifu. Now all seems lost, but no, all is not lost people, because the reinforcements have arrived. Ranko takes care of several kids, and when he can't take it anymore, the nerds appear, who arrive with a firefighting canister, killing whoever gets in their way. Yes people, this entry is only comparable with that of the Avengers. Junichi looks like Iron Man lying on the ground watching the arrival of his companions. The difference is that Iron Man did not run away from the conflict and the kid did, but hey, the protagonist went to look for his waifu. What are we going to do to him? Meanwhile, Ranko and the nerds have taken care of Dai and his combo, who, as he looks defeated, asks for forgiveness, but Ranko doesn't believe him, and he's right, the guy is a liar. He tries to run away, but everything is in vain, because in the end, they kick him in the balls and finish him off on the floor. Our protagonist finds out about this, because the Fischeros have sent him a selfie of his victory. The kid is happy, but he would be happier if Yukana had attended the place where he is. Hours went by and the waifu did not arrive, but the kid did not move from the place until the end of the Yukana did arrive. She likes to make the waifu wait, and well, with her there, our protagonist has the perfect opportunity to do what he does best, get down on his knees and beg. Well, what are we going to do to him? That is his style, and we must respect it, because although it may be questionable, it works for him, because the waifu forgives him and they are going to celebrate reconciliation. Do you know where? New to that filthy place, they went to an amusement park, go to church people, because they have that filthy mind. While there they have fun in the different attractions until night falls, and do you know what comes next? No, not that. Seriously, go to mass. Now they have a soda and go to another of the attractions, but this one is a little different because there they take pictures of people kissing. Realizing this, the kid already imagines taking the photo of the century. In that the waifu arrives and takes into one of the booths, turns on one of the screens, and here it is indicated that the photo must be taken kissing. The kid is nervous, but Yukana takes a step forward and spreads her lips. The kid in response does the same, but the cruel girlfriend he is takes off at the moment of the photo and they capture him with his beak in the air. The waifu makes fun of him and the kid walks like a tomato of shame. However, remember something, people, life always gives revenge, and in the case of our protagonist, it would arrive very soon. Well, when leaving the amusement park, our waifu, after hearing some compliments from the kid, jumps on his lips without warning, leaving the place immediately like a coward. Well, actually like a coward, not people, he just felt sorry. And this is how this interesting work ends, because the next day everything returns to normal, with the kid remaining a good friend of Yui and Nene, his girlfriend in love with him, and with Ranko still jealous of her friend, but without so much violence.